In France, this is a very bad modern standard number plate with the number on it, EB32234, the 324RE, Department 81, which is the Tarn, which is where I bought it. And this is pretty horrible, but since this car is well over 30 years old, so nearly 50 years old, it's allowed to have the old-fashioned black and white, black and silver if you like, aluminium plates, which fit onto this plate, which is the same size. This one was too long, it overlapped, it looked terrible. But if your registration document says historical vehicle Z1 equals collection or whatever, you can have these on it legally. So I've hooked off the old horrible one, plastic thing, and I've got a set of these, not very expensive, which I'm going to fit on here. And as you can see, the old number underneath has a WW number. Now WW numbers in France are numbers that the garages have for pre-sales or deliveries or things like that. They're not, it's the old ones with the department number on it. And so I presume this thing has been on there like that since it was new. Given that the number of holes are 1, 2, 3, 4, there's about 4 at each side and 2 in the middle, and it's smashed to bits. That's probably the original delivery number of the garage in 1976. I don't know. No real way of checking it out. Anyway, get on with this. I'm going to get this off. It's actually bolted through this plate. Is bolted through the bumper. I'm going to try and get it off and clean it up and repaint it. I can't put it on like that. And affix the new one to it. The rear one just goes straight through the bodywork on the boot. So that will be easier. But of course the holes are too spread out on there. It's leaving me 2 holes to fill up. Anyway, nevertheless, let's just get on with it and see if I don't even know what size the nuts are because they're right in here. I can feel them. They're about 11, I think. They won't be 10s. They're 11 or 12, I should think. I'll get this socket on it. Nice long threads on here, so you spend hours and hours. Clean that up. They economise on the black bit. There it is. Good, not very well. I'm going to have to hammer this straight. finished article. Right, here we are changing these. In the old days, some of you may remember that these were what, 45, or no, these are in 40 watts to 45 watts incandescent. So I'll just move the camera a bit. I can't open the door. Move that to there. And I have replaced them with something more in keeping, because up until 1991 in France we had yellow lights. So I've managed to get some much brighter ones of 50 to 55 watts and put those in. So, although it's 55 watts, of course you won't be able to see anything at all, because in the old days we couldn't see anything. And on taking this out, in actual fact, I've just found that this is how one of them was. It's actually bent, it was just hanging on the edge. Bent. Terrific. Now then, next stop, while we're here, at the pointed end, I've got one of these kits. You can see this, which replaces this thing here, but it comes with, drop that in there, all sorts of little bits like this and little bits like this and another one of these. Lord alone knows what you're supposed to do with them, because this one is going to go on here. That's pretty obvious. That comes out. It's knackered anyway, so, well, it doesn't come out. So we'll just hook this out of here. Come on, you bastard. I'm not supposed to say things like bastard on the internet. So there's the, can you see that? Yeah, you can. There is the delightful original piece. There's the new one, which doesn't look as big. This is going to be another failure, isn't it? This one's bigger. Everything you get, there's something wrong with it. It may have been expanded by the... This one does actually go in there all right, I think, with luck. Going to have to use a inserter 9000, as certain another YouTuber says. This is the insertion tool 9000, and it does seem to want to go in there. That's in. It's not a very good fit. No. We'll get that out of there. So this thing must that thing seems to want to go on there. I wonder if that goes in the middle of there. Yeah, it does, but it won't stay in there. Okay, this next bit, which is the rear brakes, I'm having to do this with a sort of slideshow, basically because one part of the work took me literally half a day. It was very, very difficult to do, and the film that I got lasted for ages and was completely useless because I was just swearing and throwing things around and generally in a filthy temper. I could not get certain bolts out. You'll see that in a minute. Anyway, here we are jacking up the car. rear end. There's only one jacking point on the bodywork of this that's reinforced to take the little scissor jack normally, which is just in front of that pivot point that you can see there coming past now. And so if you want to get the health and safety equipment into the position you needed, you've got to a really tight fit to get in there. 17mm nuts on all of the wheels, and even the cover plate for the wheel is 17mm. Anyway, here you can see me trying to get the Health and Safety 9000 into place, and it was very difficult to fit it in there. But I got it in eventually. That wasn't the problem. It was just a small problem. As we went along, that's up to now it's quite easy. Get the wheel off, and there you can see the huge drum brakes on the rear of this thing. They're completely useless, but they actually had about 40 to 50% difference in usefulness at the back during the MOT. They found this out, and I had to do something about it. So I bluffed my way through the MOT, but this is the day that I decided to change the wheel cylinders and have a look inside and see what was going wrong. Anyway, with the cap off, with the dents in it, you can see here the little 24mm nut on the end of it, on the end of the stub axle. They're not tight. Those is a taper rolled bearings, so they're not. It's in tight. It's not difficult to get off, and of course it mustn't be retightened too hard when you put it back on. The trick is apparently to tighten it up and then black it off a bit. Here we are with the half of the roller bearing in my fingers, getting suitably dirty. There's a big washer stuck on the back of it with the grease. It comes off when you clean it. And when we got that off, we end up with the drum. Here it is. This side, if you like the starboard side, wasn't in very good condition. You can see inside it where somebody had been scraping around trying to make it better. The other side is brand new. Somebody must have changed the other side completely, because the drum is absolutely new. And here is one of the slave cylinders that I'm going to change in. And we're getting on now into the big problem that I had. Up to now it went reasonably well. It always does. It's not very difficult. However, when I got to this stage and tried to get the old cylinder out, you'll notice the clamps there holding the springs back so that you can get the cylinder out quite easily. I'm working on the back there, as you can see. I could not get the bolts out. They were completely, and I do mean completely, welded in there with age. It took me literally hours. Here you can see a picture of the new cylinder in with one of the bolts. The other one's in the shadow, the other side of the input tube. But getting those two 11mm bolts out of there was purgatory. I did do it. Here we are, putting in the new one now. The old one's on the floor there. And even getting the bolts in with your fingers. I'm doing the outside one there. The inside one, which is behind the suspension strut, is incredibly difficult to get in. You can't get your fingers in or anything. But look, I got them in the end with much swearing and much chucking stuff around. It was awful. And afterwards, of course, you've got to relax the shoes so you can get the drum on, and then readjust finally so that you can get a nice action on the brakes. So you tighten them up too much, back them off until there's some friction going on and you're all right. Put your drum back on and you're in business. I wanted to get some new caps to go on there on the nuts, but I couldn't. I can't find any. I have actually got the tool to get these things off without banging a hole. You could see this. There's a dent there on one on the other side where people hammered screwdrivers in there to get them out. I've got the tool, but I couldn't find any new caps, so I put the other ones back. And at the end of, well, the next day actually, to finish them both off, it took me something in the region of 6 hours over 2 days and a lot of frustration to get the wheel back on as it is now. And that's it. End of. Rear brakes. God, what a job. I don't regret not doing that again.